Is the ISS doomed? The era of private space stations begins. The International Space Station has been a cornerstone of space exploration, but is its time running out? NASA is joining forces with private companies like SpaceX to usher in a new era of space stations. What will these futuristic space stations look like, and what opportunities will they offer? Join us as we explore the possibilities that are indeed out of this world. Instead of relying solely on government-run outposts, NASA is partnering with private companies to build the next generation of orbiting habitats.
The new commercial space market is continuing to take shape, a robust destination for commercial scientific research, technology development, and human and cargo transportation.
The goal is to have one or more such stations in orbit and certified for use by NASA astronauts by the late 2020s, and a transition from the ISS to commercial facilities by 2030. NASA isn't just passing the mic to the next space station superstar after the International Space Station retires. In late 2021, to get the ball rolling on these private space station designs on December 2, 2021, NASA awarded 3 funded Space Act agreements valued at a total of $415.6 million to 3 U.S. companies: Blue Origin, $130 million, Nanoracks LLC, $160 million, and Northrop Grumman Systems Corp., $160 million. So, what does this mean for the future of space exploration? Well, for one thing, it opens the door for more people to experience the wonders of space, not just astronauts. Private space stations could offer scientific research opportunities, space tourism adventures, and who knows what else. Plus, all this innovation will help NASA develop the technologies needed for even more ambitious missions like crewed missions to Mars in the 2030s. One company, Axiom Space, is already ahead of the game. Based in Houston, Texas, Axiom Space was founded in 2016 by Michael T. Suffredini and Ghaffarian. They're making moves to create a bustling commercial space economy in low Earth orbit after NASA awarded Axiom a valuation of $140 million in 2020 and are working with SpaceX to launch their modules using Falcon 9 rockets and Crew Dragon capsules. The price tag for a space trip might seem astronomical, but it'll be a fraction of the ISS's hefty budget. Axiom's aiming to build their entire 4-module station for a cool $1.2 billion, a steal compared to the ISS's $150 billion price tag.
The key mission objectives for AX-1 have always been scientific research and outreach, performing meaningful science while still taking the time to communicate out the impact and application of that research.
This is really the opening of a new era, where it's not just government astronauts like it's been for the last 60 years.
When you start to dig into it, microgravity is a very unique environment to conduct research and experiments. Just the whole experience looking out of the cupola.
It was beautiful, amazing, emotional.
Their plan: attach at least one habitable module to the International Space Station, decked out with crew quarters, boasting big Earth-viewing windows and space for research and manufacturing. Imagine a space mall with research labs, tourist spots, and a zero-gravity cafe and bars. Isn't that amazing? Imagine sipping a space latte while looking down at Earth. Who knew space tourism could involve such down-to-earth experiences? Okay, back to the program.
It is more of its own station, but we're able to leverage certain resources on the ISS. For example, we'll get power from the ISS early, so it makes it easier to build a space station when you're building it off of the ISS. It's like going camping, but you got running water and electricity.
The first module, cleverly named Axiom Hab-1, is scheduled to dock with the space station in 2024. with the rest following by 2026. By the late 2020s, they hope to have Axiom Station fully operational and detached from the space station, ready to take space tourism and research to new heights. Okay, that's another pun. Sorry, I can't resist. Let's talk about space living quarters, way cooler than your cramped college dorm, that's for sure. One company, Sierra Space, is designing a comfy space home away from Earth called the Life Habitat. This isn't just some blow-up pool, it's a high-tech inflatable space station developing since 2017.
The Life Habitat is a multi-story module that will be the future of how humans habitate in space. So the beauty of it is that it can launch on any rocket fairing, and once it gets out into space, it can just unfold and be a much larger volume than any other habitat that ever existed before it, and will be an incredible feat once we accomplish it.
The Life Habitat, currently undergoing testing at Kennedy Space Center, is 1/3 the volume of the ISS and spans 27 feet, about 8.3 meters in diameter and length. Sierra Space wants you to imagine crew quarters, hygiene facilities, and enough space for personal activities catering to the needs of astronauts during extended missions.
There have been dreams for a very long time of robust commercial activities in space with growing populations and so forth. Now we have access to systems that cost less to launch and land, and we now understand how to build destination systems that last for a long time. It's the commercial world in which advanced capabilities get normalized and become a part of everyday life. Orbital Reef is a full-fledged commercial space station.
Think of it as a village. Think of it as many different organizations and people in their own parts of Orbital Reef doing their own activities.
Imagine a space station that's like a business park in the sky. That's the idea behind Orbital Reef, a project by Blue Origin, founded by Jeff Bezos, the Amazon guy. NASA recently gave them a big boost with a $130 million investment. Here's the cool part: Orbital Reef combines two space technologies. The Life Habitat, think comfy living quarters, and the Dream Chaser spacecraft, like a space taxi from Sierra Space. This space business park aims to be a hub for all things space-related, research labs, space tourism, and who knows, some exploratory missions. Speaking of Dream Chaser, nicknamed Tenacity, it looks like something out of Star Wars. It's preparing for its big debut flight to the International Space Station this September 2024. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you won't miss our video about space planes and whether airplanes can fly to space. Spoiler alert, not quite. They aim to have this space station up and running by the 2030s. It might sound like something out of a movie, but NASA gave it a thumbs up in 2022 after a review.
We were getting to a point where we were deploying a lot of CubeSats from the International Space Station as well as small satellites.
Have you heard of Nanoracks? They've been the most fantastic science lab managers in space since 2009, up on the International Space Station. Imagine this: tiny satellites zipping around, experiments studying DNA in space. Think CSI Space, thanks to Nanoracks. They even built this awesome airlock named Bishop, a giant space door for the ISS. Launched in December 2020, it's like a handy airlock assistant, built with some big names in space tech like Boeing and Thales Alenia Space. It moves things around with the station's robotic arm, something like R2-D2, but way more significant. Fun fact: Bishop doesn't have doors, but it does the job. We like to joke it wasn't in the budget, but space is pretty expensive, so maybe that's pretty close off. Space travel can be pricey. That's why Nanoracks is also dreaming up something called Independence One. Imagine turning old rocket parts into comfy living spaces. Partnering with companies like Stratolaunch Systems and Olus Robotics, they recycle space junk into space homes. Pretty cool. Unveiled in 2018, Independence 1 makes space travel more affordable and accessible. A game changer indeed. Another space station to be excited about is the Starlab space station, which is set to launch in 2028 and be fully up and running by 2029. It's all happening thanks to a single SpaceX Starship rocket. It's a significant milestone in commercial space ventures, since Starlab will be the first commercial space station launched in just one mission. Now, Starlab has already hit some big goals. They've partnered with Northrop Grumman and the European Space Agency, and even brought Hilton Hotels and Ohio State University as partners. Talk about a star-studded lineup. Oh, and here's a fun one. Why did the astronaut bring a ladder to the space station? Because Starlab's volume is only a third of the ISS's, they needed a step up. In all seriousness, though, with 340 cubic meters or 372 cubic yards of space, about a third of the ISS, it still has plenty of room for all sorts of cool stuff, from research projects to space tourism. The only catch? The launch date depends on when SpaceX's Starship will be ready. Let's hope they aren't stellar procrastinators, because the world is eager to see this space station become a reality.
I think the space economy is just growing. The whole ecosystem is growing in a massive way. And I think what's happening also with AI and quantum computing is accelerating it. So not only, we're making a difference for everybody on Earth with stuff that we're doing in LEO and beyond, but also we're pushing the envelope in human exploration of other planets and hopefully other stars.
The space industry is set to skyrocket in the next few years, with the global space economy potentially reaching $1.8 trillion by 2035. In perspective, in 2020, it was already worth $424 billion, having grown by 70% since 2010. And in 2021 alone, a record $14.5 billion was invested in space infrastructure companies. Satellites are a big deal in this space economy, making up over 70% of its value. These days, they're not just about TV. Think consumer broadband, mobile connectivity, and the Internet of Things. The satellite imagery market alone is projected to hit $17 billion in annual sales by 2040, thanks to new space-as-a-service applications.
What tends to be new is the change between what they call old space and new space. And old space is an economy that's based on the government funding all the space activities, and new space, to me, is the economy moving towards entrepreneurs and commercial companies getting involved in space. And that's, I think, where the excitement is. It's a changing in the funding sources, it's a changing in the economics in terms of where you're trying to get benefit out of space.
Now let's talk about launching things into space. Costs have plummeted since the 1980s, dropping about 40 times lower, largely thanks to private sector innovations. Launch costs will dip to around $30 per kilogram, or if we're lucky, by 2040. That's almost like getting a lunar lift on a budget. Elon Musk and SpaceX are at the forefront of this next space age, working hand in hand with NASA's Artemis program to return astronauts to the moon and set the stage for future Mars missions. The future of space is bright, but there are a few question marks. The International Space Station might consider retirement by 2030, but NASA might extend its stay if private space stations are still being prepared to take over. Only time will tell. So what do you think? What space companies and missions are you most excited about? Let us know in the comments. We'll take you on an epic journey through the cosmos, one video at a time. Speaking of moon missions, we've got videos diving into NASA's Artemis plans and China's lunar colonization efforts.